Good morning, everybody. President of Business Operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, Rick Schlesinger, is our very special guest today, Friday, May 3rd, 2024. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you are watching Dryden Wire Live. A quick special thank you to some of our recent guests that have joined us, including Congressman Tom Tiffany, Senator Romaine Quinn, former Assembly Representative and Attorney Adam Jarko, candidate for Wisconsin's 75th Assembly District Duke Tucker, AFP Wisconsin State Director Megan Novak, and of course Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, who joins me every Tuesday for our Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy show. You can watch a recording of those shows and all of our previous live shows on our website at DrydenWire.com, right here on Facebook, or just go to YouTube and search for Dryden Wire. But today we're chatting with President of Business Operations from the Milwaukee Brewers, Rick Schlesinger. Rick, thanks for coming on. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Ben.
I'm so excited. I really am. And before we even start, I never really have questions written down. I really don't. I like all my questions to be organic, coming from whatever it is that our guest wants to talk about. I love baseball. It's my first love. Everything about baseball I love. And there's been a lot of rule changes to baseball for the better. It speeds up the game and bigger bases, etc. But I think this is going to tie in to what your job title is, and I have that printed out, which is just a ridiculous amount of things that you oversee. Like, no human being should oversee all of this stuff. I don't know how you do it. But with the games being shorter, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the time of year, etc., compared to a couple of years ago, I'm thinking, all right, well, even if somebody, one fan isn't in the seat for 20 minutes, or they're in the 20 minutes fewer than they were before, that means less hot dogs, beer, jerseys, peanuts being sold. And then if you say 40,000 fans, well, that's 800,000 minutes. I'm like, somebody has to be losing money. I don't know who, but somebody has to be. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Well, from my perspective, we look at this in a global way. Is it a better experience for the fans to have shorter games and more action and less downtime? Absolutely. Are the games shorter? Yes. Does that mean literally less time to buy hot dogs and beer? Yes. But we've actually seen a very modest marginal decline in our concession revenue. But from my perspective, it's such an upgrade to the fan experience to have games that are, 2 hours and 30 minutes. And with the extra inning rules, you rarely have extra inning games going lengthy. Right. And it's just a better experience for the fans. So I'll take the short-term hit to concessions for the overall greater experience for the fans.
Sure. And so for people who don't know, this is on your bio. We put it on our website yesterday. You oversee the organization's business operations, including finance, human resources, information technology, legal, sponsorships, marketing, ticketing, business analytics, broadcasting, communications, stadium operations, and non-baseball special events. So they just keep putting more titles on you, or did you ask for this?
Well, I'm not doing it alone. We have about 170 front office full-time folks in the business side who do a great job and make my job easy, relatively speaking. So we have a lot of departments. Baseball is a complex business, and we have different sources of revenue, a lot different types of expenses, different obligations, different things we're trying to do. Requires a lot of resources, a lot of people, a lot of hard work, but yeah, I mean, it's a big job, and it's not something you can ever master. I don't ever come into the office thinking I've mastered the job. There's always something new happening almost every day that you've got to deal with. But again, it helps to have great ownership and support from on top, and great support and great executives and great full-time people at the other side.
Does every Major League Baseball team of the 30 teams, do they have an equivalent of a president of business operations, whether it's that title or an equivalent title, right? Because every team has one, right?
Yeah, the business has gotten so big and complex that you do need somebody to oversee the business, and you need a separate executive to oversee the baseball side.
Got it. So do you understand, though? That's a pretty exclusive club. That's a good gig. There's only 30. That's like fewer of you than attorneys general and governors and senators. And I mean, that's a pretty exclusive club, man. Do you talk to each other, or no, we don't like talking to each other?
No, we talk to each other all the time. When Matt Arnold, our general manager, talks to his counterparts, obviously they're in the context of trades. They're not comparing information or data. When I talk to my counterparts on the business side, we're exchanging information, best practices, open book. If somebody's doing something great in Minneapolis, can we do it here? And vice versa. If we've come up with some great revenue idea or great ticket driver, we'll talk to people in Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver,
Wow.
wherever. So we're very open. We're very good about sharing information, and we do it all the time. We have league meetings where we share best practices, but I also have an informal group of my counterparts where we talk and email each other all the time.
If is it because it's the Brewers, or I should say baseball? We'll start there. Where like this is where I want to be because I love baseball. I grew up playing baseball, or I've always liked baseball, whether you played it or not. Or like honestly, I could do this job at a Fortune 500 company. I really don't care what the product is at all. Or is there something about baseball that attracts you to that?
Yeah, I grew up, a baseball fan, and my father was actually offered a contract to play baseball for the minor leagues with the Chicago Cubs,
What?
but
Yay!
he enlisted to fight World War II instead. So I grew up, the son of a baseball junkie, and he acclimated me and socialized me to the game at a very early age. I was not a very good baseball player. I just was, I was a skinny little kid, but I love baseball. I love the stats. I love the business. I used to
Yes.
read a lot of books about baseball. So in college and, law school, I was obviously a Brewers fan, grew up in Wisconsin, and always my dream to work in baseball. And it took a while, but finally got to the Major League Baseball, first working for the then Anaheim Angels out in SoCal, and then I moved here in 2003. So it's the love of baseball. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I also wasn't super great at baseball. I was good at basketball and some other things, but baseball, no. But I loved, I'm glad you brought up statistics. That's it. That's why I love baseball. I love spreadsheets, and there's like 10,000 sortable statistics, and I love every single one of them.
Yeah,
it's an
no,
obsession. I love it.
it's a game of stats, and
Yeah.
I used to read Bill James's books in the late '80s when sabermetrics and the baseball analytics was just in its infancy, and it was a passion. And the way he looked at baseball and stats and players and
I know.
evaluated it,
Nerds run baseball, I'm telling you. They just
they
do.
do.
I love it.
It's we have people in the baseball operations side who are rocket scientists, literally, who have graduated from MIT and Caltech, and are doing these
That's
incredibly
awesome.
complicated models. So it's a business of high intelligence.
So you must have read Moneyball and or seen the movie Moneyball, probably both.
Yes,
What were your thoughts about the movie?
you know
I mean, it's a movie.
it's a movie. It was enjoyable. The thing that was interesting is, it was all about, Billy Beane and finding these diamonds of the rough hitters, but they never really mentioned the fact that in those years, the Oakland A's had three of the best starters in baseball.
Yeah, they never
Mulder,
bring up Tim
Zito,
Hudson,
Hudson,
Mark Mulder. Who was the other one?
Zito, Mulder, and
Yeah, oh,
Hudson.
Barry Zito. That's him. Yeah. Oh my goodness, how do you forget those people? They weren't even mentioned in the movie.
No, and I knew them well because when I was in Anaheim in the late '90s and early 2000s, the A's were the team to beat, and we always hated facing those guys, and they were dominant. But it was entertaining. I think any
Yeah.
baseball movie that brings audiences in is a good thing because it helps grow the game. So I liked it. It doesn't hurt that Brad Pitt is, as my wife says, easy on the eyes. But it was well made, and it's a great story.
Yeah. So yesterday I put up an announcement that you were going to be on the show today. So I wanted to bring this up because it's kind of the elephant in the room. I think a lot of people just want to know the answer. You've probably answered this a million times, so now consider 1,000,001 times. There were two questions. Here is the first one. And you may want to kind of catch people up a little bit on kind of what has transpired to get to this point, but can you ask this question? It's kind of related to the Brewers. Why does the public have to fund upgrades to stadiums for billion-dollar owners?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. So first, let me start by thanking all of your listeners and frankly everybody in the state of Wisconsin for supporting us. Not only having the ballpark built with public money back in the late '90s, but also financing the next generation so we can be here through 2050 and hopefully beyond. The short answer is there was a compact made between the team and the state back in 1996 that the state and the government would fund a lot of the capital upgrades for the ballpark under the lease. The Brewers' responsibility was to field competitive teams, build a baseball team, create a statewide asset, and all that stuff. So that was the compact made, and all we asked the state of Wisconsin and the public was to honor that compact. And of course, the state being the state and the people of Wisconsin being honorable people, we honor that compact. They honor that compact. And the reality is the state is the majority owner of the ball stadium. So the state is an asset, and they want to preserve this asset. It cost a lot of money to build it. We have maintained it beautifully, in partnership with the stadium district, but we want to keep this asset in great shape, keep the fans coming, and give the return on the asset that the fans deserve. So that's why the state and the public are involved in this process. They're majority owners. They made an agreement. We want to live up to our side. We always know the state of Wisconsin lives up to its side, and that's why we're here today.
Sure. The second question was, Ben, I would love to know how the organization plans to integrate with the rest of the state after we made such a large investment into their infrastructure. By the way, the last one was from Joey Pepper, and this one's from John Kaiser. Just want to give them credit for the questions. So to repeat that, love to know how the organization plans to integrate with the rest of the state after we made such a large investment into their community, or into their infrastructure.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, obviously, we view this as a Wisconsin ball team. And, taxes that we pay, our players pay income taxes, our front office executives pay state income taxes. We generate sales taxes, jobs. We view ourselves as an economic engine for the state of Wisconsin. Yep, we're located in southeastern Wisconsin, but about half of our fans come from outside the 5 counties that make up southeastern Wisconsin. With a roof, we're a regional team. We draw from the entire state. And the reality is, if you look at the pure economics of what we as a business bring to the state, it's, thousands of jobs, millions of dollars in revenues. And, we look to drive revenue from all over the state and have special discount programs for statewide residents and really market all statewide. So, we think of ourselves as Wisconsin's team, and we look to bring fans in from all over. And if you look at our data, we certainly have succeeded in bringing fans from all corners of Wisconsin.
Did you say 50% come from outside of those 5 counties?
Yes.
That actually surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
not just because it's outside of that area, but there's a large population. I mean, that is by far the largest population group or metropolitan area in the entire state. That kind of, I would have said like 20%, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's incredible how much support we get, from the rest of the state. The fact that we have a retractable roof, Ben, means that we never have rain delays.
That's nice.
And people can drive 2 hours, 3 hours, knowing that the game's going to be played on time and in ideal conditions. We also have visitors from Minnesota, Iowa, and Chicago. We know the Cubs fans come here, and we'll gladly accept their money. The reality is, it's a great ballpark. It's located in a great place that's easy to get to with freeways.
Yep.
For a lot of people in northern suburbs of Chicago, it's easier to get to American Family Field than Wrigley Field.
Yeah, no kidding. So, full disclosure, I am a Cubs fan because my family's from Chicago, so it's a birthright.
Well, this interview's over.
It's a I don't hate the Brewers or anything. It's just that's what my family, when my grandma, when I was a kid, she would send us, hats and stuff for Christmas, for birthday. It was always Cub and Bears stuff. So it was just how I grew up. But the last time I was there at that park, I think it was called Miller Park back then. This was about 15 years ago. And that's when the Cubs were there, and I was down in Chicago. So then I actually made that trip. Because, Wrigley Field is a beautiful park if you're a purist. If you're not a purist, not so great. But it's the Cubs Stadium. It's legendary, whatever. But you're right. It's a little easier. So I actually drove up. It was a straight shot, get right there. And that was the first time I'd been there. I think it was relatively new at that time. And it was gorgeous. And I remember even leaving going, a lot of these new stadiums don't feel like baseball. But that one did. And that was 20 years ago. I can't wait to go back there again because apparently you've made a lot of changes.
Yeah, the ballpark is a fantastic design, and the best thing about the ballpark besides the roof is it really accommodates upgrades and changes to, as the fans' taste change, we have to change with the fans. So we've added a lot of new fan inclusive areas, fan friendly areas, a lot of things for the fans to entertain them. Obviously, we have brand new video boards up, a lot of all inclusive areas, group spaces, things for the kids. So it's a living, breathing stadium that requires, annual changes. And, we have been very proud custodians of this ballpark and want to keep it in great shape because candidly, if your house is clean, it's safe, it's fun to be here, and it's affordable, you're going to have people come, and we want people to come to the games.
So as a person that grew up liking baseball as you did, I don't know if you're a purist or not, but there's just something magical about going to a baseball game, regardless of where it is. But there just is. You see video boards now everywhere, and it's great. Like, everyone's just watching the game up there. But the game is actually being played right there, like in real time, in real life, right in front of you, but they're all watching the board. Is there a little bit part of you that's like, ah, I know we need it from a financial standpoint, and people love it. It's so much more engaging. It really is. It's like watching TV, but you're there. But I don't know. There's a little part of me like just turn your phone off, stop looking at the board, and just watch the game.
Yeah, I think we've passed the point of no return on that. I mean, our
So.
fans bring their smartphones. Everybody's looking at their phone, whether to take
Yeah.
selfies, to look at stats, or to text somebody. The beauty of our ballpark in baseball is that it really can be consumed a lot of different ways. When you're at the park, it really is still a great visual product to watch it live and watch the action. When you're at a football stadium and there's 100,000
Oh, I
seats and
can't.
you're in the nosebleeds, you have to watch the video
You
boards.
do.
The players look like midgets and
I
tiny
know.
little dots.
I know it. Right.
So, the fact that we have a more intimate setting means that, you can really enjoy the experience. And then the board, it can be a supplement for stats, replays, messages, fan prompts. But I think there's a good balance here. Everybody's got the smartphone. I love it. I use it all the time. But the reality is you can consume baseball in different ways. And my view is, hey, as long as you come to the ballpark, however you consume the experience.
What do I care? Right. What do I care how you watch it? Whatever. But I agree with you about football. I haven't been to a game in probably 25 years for a football game because no. I mean, if I could afford better seats, I would have probably gotten those. But I didn't understand. I was so happy for the board because, there's a flag and like I have no idea what's going on right now. Oh, there's a video. Oh, that's so much better. And that was before cell phones, so maybe it'd be different now. But no, I totally get it. Is there something at Milwaukee or in Milwaukee at your stadium specifically that is kind of unique to the Brewers that you're very proud of?
Yeah, I think everybody looks at the sausage race as sort of,
Yes,
quintessential
classic.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yes.
So yeah, I think people, whenever I talk to people, if I'm traveling overseas or I'm around the country and I tell them I work for the Brewers, people invariably ask about the sausages. So it's
And for people who don't know, because there may be people who don't know, because we don't have this isn't like a sports show, so they may not actually know about the sausages. Explain what that is.
Sure. So we have the Johnsonville famous racing sausages, which are 5 sausages in giant costumes that run at the bottom of the 6th inning from the visitors' dugout past the home dugout, and we keep tabs on which sausage wins. I know people make a lot of bets. It's not allowed legally, but I obviously can't enforce the rules. But people have a big, it's a big deal. We sell a lot of merchandise with the sausages on them. We have a mini sausage race on Sunday where kids get to race. And it's really become sort of a staple of Brewers games. And it's, something that people look forward to. It sets us apart, makes us unique. It's been imitated, never as well as we do it. But, in Washington, they have the racing presidents. In Pittsburgh, they have the racing pierogies. But the reality is, the sausages stand alone. And it's a fun experience at the ballpark to watch them race.
They just do. Steven just commented, I love AmFam. And this is from a Cubs fan. We were just there for Luke Combs. Awesome. Thanks, Steve, for putting that in. Am I seeing this correct? What is behind you?
Yeah, so I have an
office.
office.
Is that the actual field?
Yeah, you can see the ball pole and the field. Yeah, I overlook the field, so I'm in right field, and I actually, sometimes I can watch the games from here, and if I'm muttering or using profanity, if we're behind, I can do it in the privacy of my office, and nobody hears me.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad view.
What? How do you not love going to work every day?
Yeah, every day I get to look out at the field, so you can't have a bad day when your office is a baseball stadium and you get to look at a field.
Exactly. And so right now, speaking of Cubs, I think they're going to be playing the Cubs in Chicago for a 3-game series. I think that starts today.
Yes.
So typically on days that the game isn't being played, what does the stadium look like? What's the kind of the vibe there? People still have to go, like you just said. I think at the very beginning, 100 and some odd people just from that you kind of oversee that help out to make this whole ship go the right direction. Are all the offices full, or on days off? Like no, it's like you and the cleaner are the only people there today.
No, offices are full on days when we're not playing. Not only are, we have 170 business operations, we probably have 200 baseball operations people. So they're all here as well. And we've got people cleaning the stadium. We've got, our concessionaire bringing in food. We've got people on the grounds crew, making sure the field's ready for the next homestand. There's a lot of activity here at the ballpark. We've got, X Golf that's operating 24 days a week, 24/7. We've got the restaurant. So there's activity here, but yeah, it's still a busy activity center here when we're not playing.
It reminds me of, I watched recently, I think it was like a Nova thing or some, I don't know, something on History Channel. It was about like these cruise ships and about all the work that goes in to a cruise ship and about just getting the whole thing ready and all the operations, the behind the scenes stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. Like, that's the story I want to know. One of these days, I'm going to come down there and I want to see all of that stuff, the hustle and the bustle and all the things that are working behind the scenes to make this work. Because most people were just going to go to a game, watch the game, and go home.
Yeah, we have in a normal game, we'll have 1,200 part-time people here. Ticket takers, cleaners, security, concession workers, uh, you know, fan people who help guide guest relations, all that stuff. So yeah, it's a little tiny city here on game days, and there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that the fans don't see, but they're critical to making the experience good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll let you come down. We'll give you a little tour of where all the
That'd be
beer and
fun.
hot dogs are kept. And maybe we'll show you the clubhouses. There's a lot of things on the service level, which is our basement, that keep this ballpark in great shape and keep the thing humming.
Well, maybe I'll start becoming a Brewers fan. By the way, your logos to this day is the best logo in all of baseball. I mean, no kidding. It just is. That is brilliant. I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Apparently, there's going to be in the next 10 years or so, or the likelihood of 2 new teams coming to baseball. I think Commissioner Manfield had said before he's finished by, 2029, that it won't be then, but he would like to have at least the 2 cities selected by then. From just a Brewers standpoint, or if you want to do more overarching generalities in terms of all of the baseball teams, is that a yay or a boy, that's going to hurt us too? From a financial standpoint, even, where adding 2 more teams going from 30 to 32 is going to be harder on the other 30 teams, or this is going to be better or indifferent. Like, it'll be goods, bads, challenges, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I think the sign of a healthy business is a business that's growing. So the fact that there are so many communities, both in the United States and internationally, that would love a Major League Baseball team is a sign that there's a lot of support and enthusiasm for Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And obviously, the commissioner is going to do expansion in conjunction with the owners, and it's going to be done deliberately and thoughtfully. And I think that if we have 2 new teams, obviously you have 16 teams in each league, makes for an easier schedule.
Right.
You can realign some things. You can have some new, regional rivalries.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, it's good for the game because it broadens the appeal and it brings Major League Baseball to markets that aren't served directly by a team. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yesterday, in our preview announcing that you're coming on, the Brewers have launched, we had put this, the Brewers have launched a variety of statewide initiatives related to everyone, not just Milwaukee, being able to experience more of what's going on at the ballpark. What are those about?
Yeah, so we like to honor people in the community who do great things for their fellow Wisconsinites, whether it's the police, fire, paramedics, first responders, other people. There's so many people in the state that care and do great work. So we have a Brewers Hometown Champion Award that we give out every month, and it's open to anybody in the state. And it sort of showcases and highlights some really selfless acts on behalf of people to help their fellow people in the state of Wisconsin. We have the Brewers Superfan Spotlight, which again is a statewide initiative to recognize, those fans that are beyond the call of duty when it comes to Brewers, whether it's, their fandom, their social media posting, their enthusiasm,
Sure.
all the things that make you a super fan. So we have, nominations, and every month we're going to be announcing a winner and bringing them into the ballpark, recognizing them in a pregame ceremony. And it's just a way to showcase that, we're a statewide regional team, and, we have fans in every 72 of the counties, and we want to make sure that people are recognized for their enthusiasm and their good work that they're doing.
Go back to that first one. What was that again? A hometown champion?
The Hometown Champion Award.
Yeah. How do you select that? I mean, those are some. We love those stories here in rural north of Wisconsin, just around our community. Does it have to be like a? Are you saying it's a Brewers specific thing?
No, it's anybody in the state who has done, selfless acts, first responders or others
awesome.
who work and volunteer. And a lot of people, go on the website and submit an application or a
Okay.
nomination. We also, on our own, obviously follow what's going on, and we recognize people. And so it's a combination of people submitting nominations as well as the Brewers, community relations folks being aware of what people are doing and keeping them in the loop. And then we finally have a committee that makes a determination on who wins the award each month. So it's, yeah, there's no shortages of nominations because there's no shortage of good people.
It's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Just seriously, I don't know how you guys
That's
come
nice.
down to just one. It's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Give us an example of one of the recent ones, or one that stood out to you that you're remembering in your mind's eye right now.
Yeah, so there was a Walworth County deputy, Wayne Blanchard, who was our first award winner of the Brewers Hometown Champion Award. He was injured on duty in a high-speed chase, and this is a guy who has a fabulous reputation for being one of the top law enforcement officers, and he suffered a serious injury, and I thought it made sense to have him as our first award winner. And again, a lot of first responders in our state are probably the prime candidates to win this award. But again, it can be a volunteer. It can be somebody who, is a passenger or a passerby and sees a horrible situation and intervenes and saves somebody. Anybody who does a selfless act for others is certainly eligible to win this award.
We've got tons of those people here in Northwest Wisconsin. Like, we're rural. Like, the 6 counties that we cover, Barron, Burnett, Polk, Russ, Sawyer, and Washburn, makes up a total of like 150,000 people, which is like one half of a suburb where you live. But we're going to be flooding your website with people.
Yeah.
I don't mean to. Sorry.
No, I'm glad to
but we
do
got
it.
so many.
It's always good when you have so many worthy nominees. You can only pick one a month, but the fact is, there are thousands of people who are eligible and deserve this award.
Yeah. And where do people go? They just go to the
Brewers.com. There's a special landing page on the site that will tell you how to nominate somebody for this award.
Sure. What is Wisconsin First Fridays?
Every Friday of the month, every fan in Wisconsin gets 50% off of almost every ticket that we offer at the ballpark. So it used to be 5 county Fridays where people in the 5 counties that make up southeastern Wisconsin would get 50% off tickets. We've expanded that to the entire state. So anybody who is a resident of Wisconsin can go and buy a ticket for every first Friday of every month of the season and get 50% almost any ticket off. So it's just a thank you to the fans for being so supportive of the ballpark initiative.
All right, to be clear, do they have to be the fans of the Brewers to get it?
No, it's an honor system. We assume that you're going to root for the Brewers, but I can't police that or enforce that. But it's my hope that if you buy a discounted ticket and come to the game, that you root for the Brewers. But if you're going to root for the Cubs, if you do it respectfully and you happen to be a Wisconsin resident, I know there are a few of those. I will, grudgingly accept your money and welcome you here and have you enjoy the game, but hopefully the Cubs lose.
Yeah. I love it. So were you a Brewers fan before you got the job?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in Milwaukee. So I remember when the Brewers came from Seattle, and it was confusing to me why the Brewers in 1970 were in the American League West because, I knew geography. And my dad had explained to me that, the Seattle Pilots were in the American League West in 1969. And, 8 days before the start of the 1970 season, the Brewers moved to Milwaukee. So they didn't have time to realign the divisions yet. So I thought that was strange. But I
didn't know that.
Yep. Grew up a Brewers fan from the day I was, they came here in 1970.
What is how do you feel about like the state of the Milwaukee Brewers and maybe even the state of baseball right now? Because there was a lot of concerns that not the Brewers, but baseball in general is a dying sport. In 20 years, it won't even be here. And like, man, there's way too much money there. That's not going to happen. But there needs to be some fixes, and they have been doing a lot of things. No kidding. Baseball is actually really doing a lot of progressive things to help, and that's great. But where do you see this going? How are the Brewers doing? How is Major League Baseball in 5-10 years? Are we going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think baseball will remain, frankly, America's sport. And, we look at data on how many kids are playing softball and baseball, and it dwarfs any other sport. More kids in the United States play baseball and softball than any other sport. And I know a lot of kids play soccer, and that's great, but, people play baseball. The numbers for youth participation in baseball are climbing at really great rates, and that's a lot of hard work by the baseball organizations and everybody around the country. The franchise is very strong. We're in good shape. We have a great farm system. We're not going to always have the highest payrolls in baseball, but we have a really good baseball operations department that is very savvy. and able to really field some really great teams and do some creative things. The industry as a whole has some challenges. There's no question about it. We have tried to fix the game on the field to make it more entertaining. I think we've gone a long way in that direction. There's still a big inequity between the large markets and the small markets. We still have to have a better relationship with the Players Association. There are certainly areas that are needing to be improved and fixed. There's no shortage of ideas. There's no shortage of effort. But, it's complicated. Whenever you're talking about economics and finances, whether it's with the players or with other owners, it is very complicated. And you have to respect where people are coming from. And, as long as people sort of look at what is in the best interest of baseball, I think that's a good guidepost for people. And I do think we've got great leadership in Major League Baseball to reach the level we need to be. But we've got some work to do. We definitely need to fix the inequities in the system.
Is that fixable? It sounds like you're saying a lot of opportunities for growth. Are we heading in that right direction? Those discussions are being had.
Yes. It's not going to be solved immediately. It's not going to be solved all in one neat little package that we can put a bow around it. The reality is baseball's economic structure is the product of 100 years, and you can't change it in 5 years or 3 years or 2 years. You have to take incremental steps. And I think what you have to do is you have to make sure everybody's educated on the facts. There's a lot of emotions when it comes to baseball economics. There's a lot of misinformation. My view is if you make the case with facts and you support the facts with arguments and logic, and you look at what is the best interest of baseball long term, I think you can get to solutions. But again, it requires the cooperation of a lot of disparate groups who need to come together and realize, if we grow the pie, and we increase the support of increased fandom and increased revenue, that's good for everybody. Let's do it responsibly, logically, in a way that's equitable.
And after the Wisconsin taxpayer dollars going to help the infrastructure of the Brewers and all that stuff, is that kind of past you now where it's, even some of my friends are like, what are you doing? And, I hate this. But, and I get it. Strong opinions. Totally understand that. I respect both sides of that. Is that past you now?
No, the reality is with the influx of public money comes a responsibility. And, the Steam District, which is the landlord that is overseeing how the money is spent, and the Brewers, we have sort of an obligation to the taxpayers to spend the money prudently and wisely and on things that the fans care about and things that make the ballpark safe and working and, environmentally friendly and in a way that we can bring the fans in. So, we have a custodianship obligation here on how we spend the money, and we take that very seriously. So we're looking forward to great dialogue with the Steam District on how we spend the money and making sure that the mechanical systems operate, make sure the roof works, make sure the technology works, make sure that the fan areas are fun and, always changing and always accessible. So it's a lot of work. It's something that we take seriously, and it's going to be part of the DNA of our team for the next 27 years.
Rick, we've covered a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you wanted to make sure that we talked about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
No, I do think there is counseling services available for people who live in Wisconsin that are Cubs fans. So Ben, after we're done here, I'm going to give you the name of a therapist. It's going to take a little bit of work on your time, and the hour relayed is not too bad, but the reality is it's going to take a conscious effort for you to quit. I hope to get that done.
And we're going to, on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Special thank you to our guest, President of Business Operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, Rick Schlesinger, for taking the time to come on for a chat today. I'll see all of you right back here on Tuesday when Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald and I will be back for our weekly episode of Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.